I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that electrical storms on the surface of Tartarus make departure impossible at this time. Resident count is as follows: 3,071. The interior can be chilly. I would also ask that you leave your captain's ID with me. I can make the assurance that I will not leave with another captain. Oh, speak of the devil. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the prison's...
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a maximum security installation. You are hereby confined to your docking platform until a ticket detailing your crimes has been filed and notarized, at which point your vessel will... I wager it'll take a bit longer than it takes you to lose your patience and storm out of your ship looking... To be honest, that'd make my job a lot easier. You come out, we shoot you full of holes, and then everyone goes... All right, I'm feeling generous. I'm transmitting the idea of a productive, law-abiding... Anyway, Tartarus Docking Authority signing up. Wait, is that from the Groundbreaker? What the... Pay no mind...
Transmission terminated. Biometric ID received. Transferring data to... How can... I request you do not wake me.
The captain did right by us once. Now it's our turn. The board will never own Groundbreaker. Not while I do. Push on, my guys.
Somebody clean up this mess.
right by us once.
What's that noise?
Now it's our
Sauce.
turn. The board will never own groundbreakers. Not while I'm
Cycle complete.
Stay down, all head. What was that? Sauce. What's that noise?
Barely is this unit's middle name.
Here's a little trick I learned in prison. Underwood Captain.
Recycle back to industrial state.
Perhaps we should all meditate on that as we make our descent.
Area sanitization assessment. The labyrinth on Tartarus. Task classification. Easy peasy. Would you like Sam to tidy up this area? Waiting for confirmation command. Confirmation command not received. Would you like Sam to tidy up this area? Waiting for confirmation command. Confirmation command not received. Industrial stain!
I've had quite enough of you! Captain, behind you! Gotta find cover! This is bad! Oh!
Trash in its rightful place for more than 70 years.
I am en route, Captain.
Anyway.
Substance is resistant. area filth level assessment. Disgusting!
What was that? Lawbreaker!
Are you new? My
Get in there, troops! For Monarch! For Halcyon!
You get tired of patrolling, just go rough somebody out.
Classification. Flawlessly finished. In the vicinity. And cleans it up. One order of frickin' fan coming up. Moving passive mode.
On my way.
Here we go!
Don't forget to wash your wounds.
Nice one, Captain!
Well, look. I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio. And the convicts. The vicar. You know, most people, once they're out of prison, don't...
Oh, I would go anywhere to see...
And... Oh, I had heard you were dragging around a repurposed janitorial mechanical.
Interactive database updated.
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the... I'm not in your way, dullard. You... Besides, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but Sophia's... Oh, the look on your face. Fantastic. But that's between us. As far as my adoring citizens will know, we've turned it... Oh yes, go on, wake them up, add more mouths to feed. I don't know what half-baked plans that simpleton in a lab coat has been leading you through. Let me ask you something, Captain. Have you at any point thought about not fucking...
I believe we could ask you.
I'm making actual progress towards stabilization and... If I and my people can ride it out in luxury and happiness, yes, yes. You are a captain. Look, I'm not an unreasonable man. I can't exactly afford more havoc than you've already caused. I've got work to do.
Cycle complete.
Welcome to the Iconoclast, asshole! Get him!
Object is proven to be backless.
I'll take your confession now!
Cleans it up. Difficult job ahead? Consider equipping a pack of Sam's special solvent stain out remover. It's ruthless on residual blood splatter.
My life has been leading up to this point. I am...
Captain, you have an uncanny talent. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. Do you imagine you're leading? Those barbarians from Monarch are running wild in my prison. You're nothing but a rabble-rouser. I'm going to... I have no intention of dying on Tartarus, Captain. I admit I miscalculated the extent of your influence. I have Dr. Wells in my custody. Once I've secured his cooperation... Well, that's mostly... I take no pleasure in this, you know. I simply have... leaving you alive. This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. And don't worry.
refilling water tanks with internal condensers.
Here's a little trick I learned in prison.
Objects seem to be backwards. Mode.
out of here!
You made it. I can hardly believe my eyes. You didn't have to do this, you know. I'm all right. Akande wanted my cooperation. You've left the board in tatters, but Hal's... You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to... Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a... 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth.
Earth is only an idea to us. But that idea is the bedrock the colony is built upon.
I don't want to imagine what'll happen once news... Earth isn't going to help us. No one's going to help us now. I had hoped your fellow colonists might hold the key to saving Halcyon. I'll do what I can. It's time I return to my lab. I'll try to save as many of the Hope's colonists. Thank you. I know I've asked too much of you already. I revived... We were going to save this colony, you know. That's what I told them. Now, I don't know what to think. I always suspected Halcyon might collapse one day.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, held its newfound freedom. The colony was responsible for its own destiny. As the colony struggled to survive, the inspirational story of the iconoclasts spread like wildfire, and Graham was able to bring many of the smaller Terra-2 townships into the fold. However, his zealous obsession with spreading the word blinded him to the needs of a growing organization, and the movement was unsustainable at scale. The iconoclast way seemed to work best, and ultimately petered out on Monarch. Without Lilia Hagen, Sublight Salvage fell apart. The company fractured, devolving into a series of unregulated criminal gangs, fences, and smugglers. Their facade of legitimacy quickly faded. In time, the Sublight family was forgotten. After returning to Edgewater, the deserters negotiated workplace reforms with Reed Thompson, including a single day of rest, which came to be known as a weekend. As the world around him changed, Thompson found himself pining for the old days. He was known to spend his weekends in the cantina, nursing one of the few remaining bottles of Zero G, and repeating to himself, "It's not the best choice, It's Spacer's choice. As for Adelaide McDevitt, she tended to her garden in solitude for another year before passing away. Her body was discovered some months later when Reed Thompson paid her a visit in an effort to make amends. Her remains were buried in a place of honor underneath the floor of the Edgewater Cannery. Reed believed this was what she always wanted. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. Chairman Rockwell served as the public face for the changes in Halcyon to come. Whenever you needed strings pulled or a voice to sell a policy change, Rockwell was only too happy to oblige. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He was never able to come to terms with his own past, troubled by the decision of placing all his faith in the first colonist he ever revived, the infamous Captain of the Unreliable. The revival project yielded mixed results. Phineas, weighed down by limited support and his own guilt, struggled to revive more than a handful of scientists and engineers. They made a heroic effort to solve the colony's problems, but with small numbers and facing long odds, their solutions never caught on. Only a few of the Hope's colonists were successfully revived. Wells died before he could see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a haunted man, crushed by the guilt of his failures. Small, petty factions squabble over what remains of the colony. Every attempt to reach out to Halcyon's neighbors is met with silence. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. But Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most prominent, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.